Hello, everybody, and welcome to a segment that I'm going to call Obtainiums. Everybody knows what an unobtainium is. That's something that you cannot have, and this is going to be called Obtainiums. These are things that are new to my music collection. I'll try to do this every 4, 5, 6 weeks, depending on if I've got enough interesting stuff to show. So we'll start this one we'll start with CDs and then we'll go to vinyl. One of the things that I got in the last couple of weeks is this CD of Deep Purple's Burn, and it is the 2005 version. I was going to look and see if this is probably a 30th anniversary edition. And I was surprised to see that this was in print. It's the only reason I got it. And it's obviously been reprinted because you can see there the Warner Records, the new terrible logo of Warner Records on there. So this is must have been reissued or just they changed the Warner Brothers logo on it. But anyway, it's got some bonus tracks on there. I know everybody probably watching this probably already has this, but I had just a regular original CD of this. Next thing I'm going to show you is this is Fish's album Suits from 1994. This is an album that a lot of people think is the worst Fish album. Is that true? Maybe, but it all has Emperor's Song on it, which is my favorite Fish song. So I don't know. This says on here limited edition picture disc and 12-page photo booklet. This is this is the picture disc. As opposed to it looking like this, I suppose that's a picture. And then this is the photo booklet, this black and white booklet. I hope you didn't have to pay extra for this back in the day because that's a pretty sad limited edition. But anyway, I got this one. My friend at the local record store, the one closest to my house, Ken at RetroSound Records. I'm one of the only people that comes into that store that is enthusiastic about CDs. So a lot of times when he gets new CD collections, he will ask me, "Hey, I've got some CDs for you to look at," and he'll let me look through the boxes and pick things out before he prices them. And so I don't remember what I paid for this, but it wasn't much. But it's kind of cool to have that. I didn't have a physical copy of that in my collection. This one right here is Catatonia's The Great Cold Distance. I am a relatively new Catatonia fan, and what I was planned to do with this band is since it can be kind of overwhelming if you try to dive into a band's entire catalog in a limited, quickly. And so what I decided was that this 2006 album was where I was going to start. And this is the deluxe edition that came out in 2017, kind of a reissued version that's got 6 bonus tracks at the end. So it's a pretty long CD. I think it's pretty maxed out. And I had this on vinyl. That's what it looks like on the inside. I had this on vinyl, and it was the only CD I didn't have. So I'm planning on doing a show about formats, by the way. We're going to talk about CD and streaming and downloads and vinyl and cassettes and my opinions on that. Some of them may surprise some people, but I tend to try to get CDs and vinyl of bands that I really, really like because I like to rip my own files to play in the car or whatever and to travel with. And so you know, I'm sure a lot of you can relate if I've got, a certain number of albums by a band on CD and there's one piece of vinyl that I'm missing or the other way around. I've got a certain amount of vinyls and there's one CD I'm missing. I'm definitely going to want to get that. And so that's the whole reason why I had this. And then this is a bunch of records. One of these I already had, a bunch of CDs, I guess I should say. These are the original Elektra versions of the Cars catalog, um, up until 1987. Candio was the one that I already had, and I decided to get the rest of them. Pardon me for a minute, there's no really good way to do this. I have for my collection kind of downsized it about a year and a half ago. And this is the second time I've done this. I've moved some CDs into binders and kind of just stored the artwork. I'm gonna have some. opinions and some advice on whether or not you should do that. Most of the commentary you see on YouTube about that particular thing is positive. Uh, my opinion, after experiencing it a couple of times, is going to be less than positive. But I have all of the Cars CDs, the deluxe remastered Rico Kasich remasters from couple of years ago. And so I already had those. And I don't know about you guys, but I am not the kind of person that thinks that remasters are necessarily bad or necessarily good. I think it's a mixed bag. I think it depends on the release. But there was something about not having these on the rack that made me feel like I didn't have them. So I was a bargain shopper on eBay and was able to pick these up for, between $4 and $6 a piece. But I don't know if you guys know this, but the first three albums were done. They call these silent remasters. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but sometimes albums are remastered by the record company on CD that they make tweaks to them and they change something about them. And sometimes if there's something that the artist or the producer has a problem with, they'll fix it and just kind of put it out there. And one of the things that they did with the Cars CDs is I don't know if you can see that, but it says right there by the Electric logo, it says HDCD. The first three were done that way. And a lot of people on the Steve Hoffman forums, so we're going to talk about those in a minute, um, tend to think that those are the best versions of these Cars records. I particularly like myself the Rico Kasich remasters, but I like these a lot too. If you're going to play them at home, the originals I think are the way to go. If you're going to play them in the car or rip them, I like the remasters a little better, but Candio, same deal. You can see up there it says HGCD. It's a little high contrast. There it is. And then there was one for Panorama too, but I was not able to find one. So this Panorama is just a regular one. But I don't think there's a lot of difference between those, the masterings on those. I wanted to show this one. This one's for Grant Arthur. This is one of the Target CDs. I don't know if you know this, but Grant Arthur from Grant's Warehouse on the Steve Hoffman forums, he's the person who came up with that terminology to describe these. These are a lot of times the original incarnations of catalog albums, and they say made in West Germany by Polygram down here. And a lot of the ones that are made in just in West Germany like this eventually came out again when they started opening CD pressing plants in the US, saying made in the USA. But a lot of albums from the day, mostly Warner Electric Atlantic albums, came out as these, and they really look more like a rifle scope. But you can see this one's harder to see, but there's like a line, there's like a little dash in each, the top, left, right, and bottom. And so they look sort of like a scope, but a lot of people call these Target CDs, and that Grant Arthur is the reason why. Are they better? Sometimes. I think Grant thinks they're always better, but sometimes they're better, sometimes they're the same. So that kind of does it for CDs. As far as vinyl is concerned, I know what you're going to say about this one. Didn't you already have this? Yeah, I did. I had what is referred to as a 2i version of this record. And I don't have it anymore, so I can't show you what it looks like. But a 2i record, Columbia record, is the Columbia logo at the top in white over red, and then there are the Columbia eyes on the left and the right. It's what a lot of records, if you were to go to a thrift shop and pick up a Tony Bennett record or a Barbra Streisand record or Andy Williams, you see them usually in the 2i format. So Chicago Transit Authority on its original release date was like that. And I had one and I was always under the impression that it was better. And then I heard a reissue, and I was not convinced that the 2i was better. So I was looking, and my cover was ratty. So I was looking for this is what the reissued one looks like, the standard red Columbia label with the orange text. And so this is what is considered a reissue of this album. And it it's got some ringwear, but doesn't this always have ringwear? the inside of it is really nice, and I think this one sounds great. I think it sounds better than the version that I had, and so I'm happy to have that. The next one from the didn't you already have this category? This is a Deep Purple made in Japan, but this one is a lot nicer than the one I used to have. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's real nice. Got a real nice spine. You can read it. It's got a little bit of ring wear, but for the most part, it's pretty clean, and the inside of it is beautiful. So nice and shiny and still a little bit crackly when you open it up. So this was an improvement on the one that I had. So I went ahead and got that. This right here is an album that I don't like, but again, the completist in me, I had to have it. I found it locally pretty cheap. But this is Interpol's album Marauder. This is their 2018 album. And this is the beginning of what I think is there's another album after this. I think they're in a little bit of a rut, Interpol. And so I'm not crazy about this record, but I didn't have it on vinyl, so I wanted to go ahead and pick it up. Only about 20 bucks. It's on what they call cream colored vinyl, but it looks white to me. Anyway, the thing I don't like about this album is one of the things I love about Interpol is they've got a great drummer. In fact, he's probably one of my favorite drummers, a guy by the name of Sam Figurino, and he is, I think, a great drummer. He reminds me very much uh, of a kind of a drummer like maybe from like a post-punk band like Pylon or Gang of Four. Really, heavy, super accurate bass kick drum sound, and very very crisp, clean drummer. And on this album, I think he plays kind of sloppy. I think the whole point of the album is that it's kind of a little bit more raw, and that doesn't work for me. I like my Interpol to sound nice and crisp and clean, and so that's just not really my thing. And then I got a really nice copy of Initiation by Todd Rundgren. I don't love this album. I'm really starting to, I'm coming around to it. But I don't know if you guys know this, but I also have this in the Todd Rundgren Bearsville Collection box set on CD, which really helps. But this album is, I don't know how long it is. It's super long. I think it's longer than an hour. And it's really crammed, it's really groove packed onto the record. So the vinyl really doesn't sound that good. I prefer the CD, but this is a really beautiful copy. And you can see the spine there. It's not all worn out. You can read it. I have this thing about spines. I like them to look really good. And so anyway, I picked this up because I didn't have it and the price was right. It was only about 10 bucks. So I picked that up. And then we'll wrap this up with something that I was surprised to find in my local store, something that I got on CD when I was when this record first came out during the pandemic. This is Liquid Tension Experiment 3. And this is kind of a prog fusion supergroup. Tony Levin, John Petrucci, Mike Portnoy, and Jordan Rudess. So two Dream Theater members, and Mike Portnoy. I give three Dream Theater members, I guess, and then Tony Levin. Uh, this record here, I believe the first time that uh, Mike Portnoy played with John Petrucci after leaving Dream Theater was John's solo album, Terminal Velocity, I think it's called. And it was just a couple of years before this. And this record here, I had Liquid Tension Experiment 2 on vinyl, and it was like this brown marble, like splatter vinyl, and I had it forever, and I couldn't really connect with it. A lot of great playing, but there was something about it that was just I never picked it up, and I finally, in a liquidation purge kind of an act, I let it go, and then as soon as I did that, the price jumped up to like $300, and then it was reissued, and I ordered the reissue, and something went wrong with the order, and they ran out of them. And so anyway, I didn't have any Liquid Tension Experiment on vinyl. So this one showed up at the record store, and it was only had $22 on it, and it had it's got some scuffs on it. It's got some like concentric scuff marks on it that you can't hear, which is great. But my local record store uh, discounted it because, anybody who took it out and looked at it was going to think that it was damaged. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got for this uh, uh, episode of Obtainiums. So I'll try to do this every couple of weeks. And I've been teasing an episode that I'm going to do. I mentioned it earlier in this one about formats. And so some of this will make a little bit more sense when I do my format video. So look for that in the next, probably the next couple of days. Um, Thanks for watching.